Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode on Mind Your Soul from a neuroscience perspective with me, your host, Farah. And today I have a really cool guest. He's called Raxstar. I'm a big fan of him myself. And Raxstar is actually known as, a big British Indian desi pop star who's won several awards and has been in the music industry for almost 2 decades now. So welcome, Rax.
Hello, how you doing, Farah?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
And thank you so much for taking the time out because you're a music superstar, so you're obviously very busy. So today, this episode is about pushing boundaries with a resilient mindset. And that's why I invited you because I really admire your work. The content that you create is very, very deep, something that I resonate with a lot. So yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
why I invited you because I thought it was kind of interesting for our listeners out there to hear your story and how is it to be like in the music career and like maintaining your mental health. That must be difficult. So I crafted some questions for you. So I think we're just gonna dive in.
Let's go.
Yeah. So the first question is, how do you stay motivated and driven to like keep pushing boundaries of your creativity? Because being in the same industry for over 2 decades, almost 2 decades, is kind of challenging, right?
This is actually something that I've been going through for the past couple of years
Okay.
because you get to a point where the excitement that you have, excitement's normally the motivation, right? You have the excitement and you have a desire to leave a mark. You want to make a name for yourself. That was when I first started, that was the biggest motivation for me. I wanted to make a name for myself. I wanted people to
Hmm.
know who I was, to listen to my music, and to have an impact. Once you've achieved that, or you've reached a level where you feel like you're happy with what you've done, that's where it's difficult to maintain motivation because now what? So this is something that I've been working through for the past couple of years. And I think a lot of that boils down to coming back to um, rather than looking outside for inspiration, looking internally for inspiration and seeing
Hmm.
what do I want to say, how do I want to express myself, and where do I fit in the wider, music industry world, content, like everything's trying to vie for your attention these days. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the past couple of years is just trying to figure out what do I want to say? Who am I in this world of content and music and movies and reels and TikTok? Like, who am I? What's my message? And how do I want to maintain being myself and fitting in with this new landscape that's been created in the past like 5 or 6 years with social media?
Hmm.
So yeah, the motivation comes more from internally, like what do I want to say? And also I think seeing what's not being said, like everyone has a unique perspective in the world and experiences that create themselves, everything that you've been through creates who you are. And I feel like knowing that gives you a superpower because you realize that your voice is very unique and it's valid. Your voice is valid. That's a lesson I had to learn over the years. Like what I think, how I express myself, what I say, my music, everything is unique to me. I'm not in competition with anyone else. I'm just being me, and people that need to hear that or resonate with that will connect to it.
Absolutely. And I think that was a beautiful answer because I connect very deeply with your music. And I think I've been following you for almost 2 years now on Instagram. And I've been engaging with your content because it's deep and something that I can really relate to with your lyrics. I think they're kind of different because you do like break some norms there and talk about life and love and the whole perspective, like yeah, the cultural norms that we have. We both have like Indian backgrounds. My father is from India, and the whole norm with like you're getting this age, you need to get married, you need to have this degree, and you know the stereotypical things that we brought up with. And when you like work and live outside the box, you when you do not fit in is where the challenges begin. So I think staying true to yourself and being authentic, that is something many people can resonate with. And that's why you seem so authentic to me. And that's why I really love your music, because it's different from the rest of the musicians out there. That's what I feel.
I feel that's learnt as well. Like there's a it's not just being an artist, it's just growing up as well, maturing as a human being.
Yes,
You you haven't got time to pretend to be something that you're not anymore, or you don't want to be
exactly.
something else. You don't want to fit into. I was always a contrarian, like I would go against what other people were doing. I was a little bit of a rebel in these situations as well. So
Same.
that's probably why you can relate, I suppose. There's a
I think
similarity there.
so. I think so. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I talk about this a lot on my page, that we're all unique beings, and staying true to your inner voice and speaking your truth is like the happiest you can be. So the thing you said about the finding motivation within, that is something that I'm also working on. I'm actually on the same path, because staying true to myself makes me happy. Maybe other people can't understand it, but it makes sense to me. So yeah, I think that was
In the long term, that's the most important thing. Like a lot of
yes,
I've met people, I've had experiences, other people that I've known just generally in life, they don't do things for themselves. Like they're living a life which is not authentic to themselves. They're doing it because it's to tick a box, or because
yes,
someone has said to them, this is what you should do at this certain age, you should get this kind of job, you should marry this kind of partner. And in the long term, they're unhappy. And ultimately, like, what are we doing here? Like, is this what life is supposed to be? Like, maybe you'll upset people, maybe they'll be unhappy with you for a certain amount of time, but you have to live with your choices that you make. You have to live with the decisions, and it's your life. So make the
exactly.
decisions and choices that you're happy with. And it's easy to say that. I do understand that. That comes
Mm,
from a privilege as well. Being able to say that. Some people don't have they don't have that privilege to be able to say, look, I want to do my own thing. There's hundreds and pounds pressure on people to live a certain way, or behave a certain way, or be a certain way. And that's not even getting into that's cultural. That's not even getting into the differences between men and women, and the different pressures that we have in society and culture, based on that. But I'm just speaking from my
absolutely.
experience.
Yeah, and it's about pushing boundaries, right? Because the thing is, what happens in the brain is that we're always afraid of what if, and taking risk is like we're always afraid of the uncertainties that happens, and our brains is always like in flight, fight, and fight mode. So what happens is that we just want to stay protected. We just want to be in our safe, yeah, safe environment. And if that safe environment is like you not being happy because you're ticking a box, you maybe stay there because it feels safe to you. So when you get outside of your comfort zone, and you're like faced with the challenges, but you feel happier, but still you're like a bit afraid, because that's how change is actually supposed to feel. That's actually when you grow. When you're faced with those challenges and you break out of that box, out of the matrix, as I say sometimes, it feels frightening. It does. And it is, because you never tried it before. But then when you keep on going, you'll actually realize that was the best decision you made for yourself, because you're staying true to yourself, to your own person. So it's like
There's
a normal
no,
reaction, like what happens with us
yeah.
staying in our safe environment. Yeah.
I mean, it is scary, especially when you do these things. But I don't know. I've had people say to me, there's a level of courage and bravery
Yes.
that's required to do these things. I don't know. For me personally, I've never felt like that. I don't know. It's just like a thing that I have to do these things, and there's no reward without risk. Everything requires risk, calculated risk, or whatever it is. There's some sort of risk involved if you're to achieve a level of something which is out of your comfort zone, right? Um,
100%.
but yeah, comfort zones can exist in other. I mean, even like I was saying, the past couple of years is something where I've tried to find more motivation internally, and that's also due to having a level of comfort. I mean, I've been in this industry for however many years.
Mm,
There's a comfort zone to that as well. This is the type of music I create, these are the type of songs, these
mm,
are the artists that I work with, this is the music I
mm.
make, these are the videos that I make. Like there comes a point where you have to kind of break out of that comfort zone and do things differently. So like 4 or 5 years ago, I started doing more melodic things. Before that, I used to rap only in English. And then from
Yeah, now you're
20,
doing it in Punjabi as well, right? Now
yeah. So
you're mixing it up now.
yeah, so from 20, I think 15, 16, I started adding more Punjabi to my vocabulary with my raps. Again, that's taking myself out of my comfort zone and doing something different because
Absolutely.
it's evolving and growing as well.
I really like that. I like the combo. I don't even, it's funny. It's funny actually. I speak Hindi. I don't even speak Punjabi. I understand
Okay,
like half of the lyrics. But I love
that's good.
listening to Punjabi music. Like I'm brought up with Bollywood movies. So Punjabi was
Yeah,
like, so Janeman, your song that hit, I think it was in 2010. So that just caught my attention because I could recall the original song in Hindi and then you added your rapping to it. I was like, who is this? I like this sound. And I just started like following you. So I think I've been following you for 13 years, listening to your music. And so that actually got my attention to the whole Punjabi world. So now I'm listening to all kinds of Punjabi music, but I don't understand all of the words though. So
so I think a lot of people listen to Punjabi music don't understand. A lot of Punjabis don't understand the Punjabi in
okay,
Punjabi
that's
music.
fine.
So
That's
you're
good to
right.
hear. I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
So, Rax, this another question where we're just talking about in the comfort zone, all of this. So, how do you like find time to nurture your mental well-being? Because it's very demanding having the career that you have. So, how do you like space out of this and just zoom in yourself? Like, do you do something like mindfulness, or do you meditate, or stuff like
yeah.
that?
So there was a long period of time where I didn't realize that's what I was doing because I was so focused on my work and my career. So for a good, I think maybe 7 or 8 years, it was just non-stop. And I was traveling, doing shows, going abroad, doing all these things. And I just remember saying, like, me and my manager, we were just talking and we were just like, we need to like enjoy what we're doing as well. Like, as in, like, if we're traveling to a different country for a show, we should stay for an extra 2, 3 days and
Mm.
unwind, enjoy wherever we are. We're traveling. It's always exciting going to a different country. We should also enjoy it as well, not just focus on the work part. So that became, the point where I started realizing that living life was just as important as the work or whatever I was doing with my career. Um, that's a part of mindfulness, I think, having the ability to kind of switch off and just be present wherever I am. If I'm in a different country, enjoying the local food, like immersing myself in the culture. Um, Mindfulness generally, like I've done loads of things and got into routines that I kind of get in and out of. I was doing the Wim Hof breathing techniques,
Mm-hmm.
meditation, bunch of mindfulness stuff, reading, being in nature, grounding myself,
Mm.
exercise, like all of these things I've done to a certain level. I feel like for me, I can't have it's difficult for me to get into a routine where I do something every day. I can't just be consistent in these things, but I feel like I know when I do need to do something like
Mm-hmm.
that, when I need to take time. A lot of that is also having breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So I can be in when I'm on a break, I'm on a break. I'm not really focusing on work, which is interesting because I'm sure
How do you
you're aware.
switch off? Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt, but how do you
it's
like
a,
switch off? Because I find it hard to switch off sometimes.
well, it's being present. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Being
Mm-hmm.
present. Because if you're not present, if you're not focused in where you are and what you're actually doing at that time, your brain's wandering somewhere else. You're thinking about work, you're
True.
thinking about that. So if you're sitting in nature, if you're on the beach and it's sunny and you jumping in the water to swim, you got to be present there, right? That's immediate
Absolutely.
wherever you are. So and what's interesting that I was going to say, the point I was going to make is when you're in those environments, your brain is so relaxed that you start being creative, or you come back and your creativity is kind of
Very
reignited
true.
because you've nurtured that part of you that was kind of neglected. So that I find is very important. It's another thing that I've read with other artists as well, is that it's very difficult in this day and age because content is so needed all the time. So you need to constantly, like, this is something that I struggle with and I don't think I can do, but I admire people that constantly put something out. Like, what they call influencers. Every day they're
Mm-hmm.
posting their life on social media. Every day they're posting something. Every day they're doing this, doing stories. I'm going here, I'm doing that. For me, that's impossible for me to do. I can't actually do that. Just one, because my personality is I'm not very I'm a bit of a private person. I don't really like to share too much on these
Hmm.
platforms. And the other thing is that's work as well. Like it is a
Well,
job.
I'm kind of doing it. When you were saying, I was like, I just started doing that.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain. It's
It's
very,
a
very hard
full-time
to
job.
maintain.
Let me tell you
Yeah,
this.
it definitely is. And
Mm.
then for me, I feel like that's the same with these mindful things as well. So meditating every day, exercising every day. Like I try to do my best, but I can't do these things every day. I think it also boils down to my
Is
lifestyle
it
because
because of, yeah, I was just going to say it's because of your schedule, because mine is
yeah,
pretty fixed compared to yours. Like yours is like, yeah, because habits are kind of essential. Like for me, it's very essential for me to get through my day. I start with prayer and meditation, and then I start my day. So we all have routines that works for us. And I was just going to say maybe it's because of your schedule is kind of very different from mine.
yeah, I think that's definitely plays a part because it's impossible to have like an exercise routine, for example, or every
Mm-hmm.
morning I'm going to do this, or every evening I'm going to wind down this way. Because if I've got a studio
Hmm.
session till 3 in the morning, I'm going to
Oh
come back and
yeah.
go to sleep. I'm not,
No,
I'm
I
not going to
get
come back and be,
that.
I'm not going to come back and be like, right, I need to wind down and do my meditation.
Gonna use 2 hours on that? No,
You just need to sleep.
impossible.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so there is that does definitely play a part, and I think that's kind of where my mind state is now. But I feel like I know when it's needed. I
Hmm.
know when, okay, cool, my body is feeling like this. I need to stretch. I need to exercise, or my mind is overthinking, and I'm not feeling creative. I need to shut off, and I need
Hmm.
to meditate, or I need to go for a walk, or I need to do something. So I feel like I know myself well enough now to be able to figure out those things when I need them. And
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm in extremes anymore. It used to be like extremes of working super, super hard and then like uh, going down on lows and then having to escape. And I feel like I have more of a balance in my life now.
Is it because in the beginning, of course, it's more grind time, and now you kind of, because you've been in the industry for 18 years, you kind of balance it out, if you could say that. I know you never can because you always have to create something new. You always have to like keep going. But I think now you have the experience, you're like more laid back than in the
Yeah,
beginning, obviously. Yeah.
definitely. There's a foundation that's set, so I don't need to build
Yes.
that. When you're building, you need to be all out going in. And I also think it comes down to age as well. There's a fire in you when you're at the beginning of it. This is with most people that I've seen, especially when you're starting something creative. There's like a fire and a passion in you at the beginning because you're like, you feel like the world's against you, or you've got something to prove. And
I can
yeah, they
totally
get
resonate. That's where I'm now, like at the age of 39. So,
it's all right. High five. 39, looking,
yes.
looking younger than we actually are. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I think we're the same age actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked it up. Yeah, but you've been doing this for a long time. I've been changing careers and I finally feel like I've found my calling, if you can call it that. And I
Yeah.
always say there's never too late to begin over. Like you have this
No.
life, embrace it. We don't know if tomorrow is promised. So, like you just said, live in the present and make the best out of the situation that you're in. Yeah, so like
Definitely.
you have like this crazy schedule and still you like take time out to do some mindfulness. That's like very inspiring, I think, because it's hard, right? When you have like studio sessions at 3 a.m. and but you still take the time off when you feel like, okay, I need this, I need to feed my brain now, I need to
But this
zoom
is
out
this
now, you
is
do it.
this is like through trial and error. So it's not like I knew this from
I
the
know.
beginning. This is because
Of
I've
course
done
we
this and
learn.
I've ended up in like a bad place, or I've been very unhealthy, or I've burnt out. And because of those situations, I'm like, right, I need to, you learn the hard way basically.
Obviously, of course you do that. And I've been working since I was 13 actually. And then while I was studying, taking my bachelor and master's, I was still working. So I know what burnout feels like. Also as a single mother, I've been working a lot. And it's like, no, I'm not gonna keep on working for somebody else or doing like the 9 to 5 or whatever job, which I'm not happy in. So actually during lockdown, I had like awakening, if you could call it that. I was like, I'm done with this, like the world is falling apart, we only have this life, make the best out of it. I was like, no, I'm changing careers, I'm doing me. So I started changing the whole thing, and yeah, so
That's
it's
awesome.
been a journey. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you realize lots of things. I think many had this during lockdown, that life is too short to like do things you're not happy to do.
Yep.
So self-care is very important. I realized self-care, like the importance of self-care, which was neglected as a single mother. So I kind of started doing that. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I started practicing self-care, and I talk
What's your
about
self-care? What's self-care to you then? In what ways do you feel like self-care is
it's
or
definitely being in nature. I
okay,
talk about longevity a lot on my page. I'm very privileged to live in crust of a forest. I live in an apartment, but I have like
nice.
the forest. Yeah, so I talk a lot about taking running lunch breaks. When you like, I don't take eating lunch breaks, so I run instead, and then my brain is like more creative, and I'm just ready to like tackle obstacles. And also meditate twice a day, in the morning and before sleeping down. So I do have a wind down routine
That's
with
good. You
candles and meditation.
nice.
I'm the stereotype. Like,
That's good though. I mean, you've got a lot of energy though. You're running on your lunch break. You're probably working all day. This
but
is a
I
lot of
am an
energy.
energetic person, and when people meet me, they always say, "Oh, you're always high on energy." But I think I'm not always high on energy, but I do some things that fills my soul, you know. Like when
Yeah,
I do stuff for myself, then when I'm filled with energy, sometimes some people drain you. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
sometimes I'm in a room with people and they just drain my energy, and even though I'm an extrovert, I prefer alone time. So I really value like time on my own, spending time with myself, so that I
Mm.
can gain all of that energy back, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I do.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, I've been doing it for many years now, so it actually works. All the cliches work, actually.
Yeah, they definitely do. I agree with you. I'm not questioning that at all.
Yeah. So, Raz, tell me, do you have any like things you could advise other aspiring artists who want to like take on the same career as you do? Like, how can they overcome those obstacles? Because I feel like it's really hard to do what you do on a daily basis. There's so many challenges involved with it. It takes like a really resilient mindset. So how can they like keep on going even though they feel like they have rejections and they have so many obstacles? Do you have any advice for them, for those who look up to you?
I feel like one of the biggest things is putting things a little bit into perspective. Like we are actually quite privileged in our lives, what we have. Like if you have the ability to be able to follow a career in any type of arts or any type of creative endeavor, you're generally speaking in a really, really good position. You don't have to worry about where your next meal's coming from. You've got a roof over your head. These kind of basic things that a lot of people don't
Hmm.
have. You probably have those things. So one is having a level of gratitude. The second is knowing what you're trying to say. The biggest thing that I had to learn was like looking into the music industry and seeing talented people. This is a talented singer, this is a talented writer, this is a talented rapper. And especially in the generation that we live in now, it can make you very, very insecure because you're constantly comparing yourself with other people. You have to have an ability to have a belief in yourself and also know that what you're doing is unique. You have a voice and you have um, a something to say, and that's unique to you. The resilience part is it's just about being consistent. I do
Mm-hmm.
feel like in this, like in the generation that we're in now, a lot of luck is required. You just need to be lucky. Like there's some people that, have been doing music for 5, 6 years. They're still trying to have a breakthrough. And some people
Mm-hmm.
have just done one song and for some
And they
reason
go
it's just
viral and they just like
viral,
discovered.
it's
I
connected.
don't
Yeah.
believe in luck actually. I believe like in fate, like what's meant to be will be, and you have to like stay consistent and put in the hard work. That's my mindset. But yeah,
Well,
so
you
those
have
who
to
go
like
viral,
it,
they go viral like
they do go viral. I guess, yeah, there is definitely a part of fate involved in that. I do agree with you. I do feel like if you're prepared though, so there are, I mean, if you look at people that do go viral, if someone is prepared, they can um they can transform that into a career. Whereas if you're not
yes,
prepared, that's just a moment, right? Because
100%.
you haven't prepared. So be prepared for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to be honest, the mindset thing I think is something that you have to develop. Read books, study. The biggest thing I've noticed in creative people generally in up and coming generations is there's a lack of studying of your craft. When I wanted to create music and write and do songs, I studied everyone. I studied artists. I studied how they wrote. I studied how they created songs, song structure. I'm really into films as well. I studied like film. I studied how the films were created. I studied comedians. I studied creative people, tried to understand their process, and I tried
Mm-hmm.
to learn from people that were great at what they did. I feel like that's something that's a little bit missing, which needs to be implemented more. There's Be confident in yourself, but don't be arrogant to think that you know everything. There's a lot to
Mm-hmm.
learn from people that have been there and done that. So learn, there's podcasts, there's books, there's interviews, there's hundreds of resources out there on the internet now. Learn your craft, learn it, try to be as knowledgeable about your craft as you can. All the greats, great filmmakers, great songwriters, great musicians, artists, performers, they all studied. They studied their craft like it was, a
I
course.
totally agree with you. I'm
So
doing
yeah,
the same thing. Like, know your own niche area that you're in and learn from the best and keep on learning. You always, because you grow when you learn and your brain grows. So always like keep on learning and growing and stay humble, obviously.
yeah,
I hate arrogant people. So sometimes when they do go viral, they become arrogant. And then I'm like, no, I'm out. I can't even.
yeah.
So very
That's a
good
part of
advice, actually.
it's human nature, right? I mean, yeah, it happens. I've seen it myself. So, but yeah, I'm
Yeah,
being
it's the
remaining.
ego. It's very natural. Like we're born with this. Now it's like all the psychology of Freud, but it's like the ego. We all want to like nourishes that, and it's just there. It's implemented in ourselves. But it's like how you treat your ego. So there's ways to treat it, like you just said. So don't, yeah, yeah.
And
So
you and you want you are
that's
not your
another
ego.
podcast,
Yeah, yeah,
episode.
yeah. But the biggest thing is you're not your ego, and learning to
Exactly.
differentiate between that is important as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that was actually beautiful said because I was kind of stumbling there. So yeah, I
Okay.
agree with you. So Rex, do you have some last comments for our listeners? Because this is about mental health, and today we talked about having resilient mindset as a superstar, and you shared some things and really good advice. Do you have some last things you want to say?
I just think a lot of what people are going through boils down to not acknowledging how they feel and not expressing how they feel. So a lot of things that we go through, we kind of suppress. There's one book that I always recommend to everyone. It's called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. I really, really recommend
I'm
everyone
gonna
to read
write
that
that
book.
down.
Yeah, there's great tools in there that I learned from to help you learn about um, dealing with your emotions, trapped emotions, suppressed emotions, that kind of thing. It's a very, very good book. I read that actually during lockdown, and it helped me a lot.
Amazing.
So yeah, just for mental health, for your own well-being, um, that's a great book to read. And just dealing with your emotions, I feel like um, artists, we're able to express ourselves through our art, regardless of what that
Mm-hmm.
is, and it helps us to kind of deal with things. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, unfortunately, because of the lives they live, they kind of don't have the experience of being able to do that. We have conversations with people, sometimes that helps. Sometimes we're able to listen to other people talk about things, and that kind
Mhm.
of helps us vicariously live through their expressions. Like when people relate to my songs, for example, that's I do it with songs as well. Like I'll listen to songs or watch movies and be like, that's how I felt. It helps me feel like I'm not alone. But
Exactly.
expressing yourself, I think, is super important, even if that's just writing it down and ripping it up
Yeah,
sometimes.
I was just going to say the journaling is very good for that. Oh, also for
Yeah,
overthinking. I talk about this a lot too. So it's very important not to suppress your emotions, but actually acknowledging them and controlling them. Because once you acknowledge them, you know why they're triggering you, and then you can actually process them and work with them instead of working
definitely.
against them. Yeah,
Definitely. So the
definitely.
book talks about like techniques for doing that, and yeah, it's unfortunate that we're not taught these things growing up. Like we're
Yeah, it
no
should be like a
nobody
subject in
teaches us.
school. Like I mean
Definitely,
it. Yeah.
definitely. No, I totally agree because I meet so many adults, and it's just like they're not expressing themselves. You can see that in their behavior because they're just reacting rather than understanding why they are
Also,
the way they
I
are.
think it's a cultural thing. I don't know. I was
Definitely.
not brought up with talking about feelings. It was kind of
No,
like a
no.
taboo, right?
Yes,
It was kind
yes,
of like
yes.
a taboo subject. And I'm doing all the opposite with my children. I have 3 kids, and I'm raising them like three small spiritual beings. We talk about feelings all the time. My four
Yeah,
year old talks about feelings, and like he's only 4.
yeah.
So, um, yeah, so I think it's
That's
what you
beautiful.
create in your home environment, like how you do things. They meditate as well. My kids, sometimes we do like a family meditation. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, and I also like to paint. So I often paint with my children, which is also like a mindfulness thing. So I'm actually doing the exact opposite of what my parents did because I felt like I was always supposed to suppress my emotions. So that was hard for me because I'm a very sensitive person. And I think it's very important to raise children and have this knowledge of it's actually very important to be expressive of your feelings, even if you're like a boy or girl, it does not make a difference, right? Also in our culture,
Definitely.
it's like boys do not cry and stuff like that, the cliche
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
It's like, no, you can do whatever you want to do. Like just be you.
yeah, definitely. I feel like it's up to us now as adults to kind of teach
I think
ourselves these
so.
things. So, yeah, hopefully, like more people will be doing that, learning these things and implementing that into the generations that
Yeah,
are
I think we are in an
to
era
come.
right now where we are like breaking free of all the old norms. This is what I'm experiencing. I don't know if it's just me, like we're doing things a bit different, like our
Definitely.
generation.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely see it as well.
So yeah, I think it was a beautiful episode with you, Rags, very deep. So this will be released to my YouTube channel, and it's going to be streaming. You can stream it on Apple and Spotify as well. So I think we're just going to end it now. So thanks so
Cool.
much for your time, and
No
yeah,
problem.
stay blessed.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.